everyone, it's Sharana from Pay or Wait. So today I'm going to be reviewing the Netflix limited series Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker. This series stars Octavia Spencer, who plays Sarah Breedlove, aka Madam C.J. Walker, an African-American female entrepreneur who built a hair care empire, making her the first self-made female millionaire. Just simmer on that for a minute. The first self-made female millionaire. Okay, not the first African-American, the first female. I just wanted to just reiterate that in case y'all missed that the first, the second, or the third time. All right, so I was pretty excited to watch this series just because this is one of the first time that Madam C.J. Walker's life is being brought out to our television screens this time. And so I think it's important to continue to tell these stories of trailblazing women, especially African-American women who have just done so much. And she did so much, from being a philanthropist to being the first self-made female millionaire. Just everything that she was able to overcome in her journey, how she took no for an answer, and how she lived to see like her vision. And so the fact that she also helped build generational wealth for her family, I think is really important that we continue to tell the stories. So for those of you who are new to my channel, hello, welcome. I hope you stay. Essentially, I tell you what I liked about the series, what I didn't like about the series, and is it worth you binging or not? Is it worth the stream? Is it worth putting your eyes on this material? Because we have so much to watch. I would say such little time while these lockdowns. I think we got more than enough time than we would want. But going into what I enjoyed about Self-Made, I would have to say first and foremost, the performance from Octavia Spencer. She is fantastic as Sarah Breedlove. I love the presence that she has. I love that you could just look at her and just see the confidence and even sometimes insecurities. And I think that she's a very relatable character. And I think Octavia does such a very great job of just bringing out the emotions of what Sarah was going through as she's going through this journey, especially during these difficult times, especially when Black women was looked less than even the Black man. I think it's great to see what Octavia has done with the character. I think she was very well cast as Madam C.J. Walker. And also, too, I have to say that Blair Underwood, who plays her husband, C.J. Walker, I thought that he was absolutely fantastic as well. And what I love about his character is you get to see a lot of different layers of his character, who actually plays Madam C.J. Walker's her third husband. For those of you who don't know, Madam C.J. Walker, she was married when she was 14. She was widowed she was married when she was 14. Then she was widowed at 20, and then she married again. And so she's been through a lot so early on in her life. But for this series, it focuses on the later years of her life as she's building her empire. And so I think that Blair Underwood was a very great match for Octavia Spencer. I think that they have very great chemistry between one another, and really to get to see his layers as kind of this supportive husband during a time where women were not supposed to take lead, where men were the head of the household. I like that they really go in depth with, you know, kind of how he felt about kind of taking a back step, and also to kind of the whispers that he heard from, you know, his father, played by Garrett Morris, Cleophas, who is absolutely fantastic as well. I think it's very interesting to see kind of as the supportive husband, as we kind of see these different sides of him as Sarah, Madam C.J. Walker, as she continues to excel in building her empire. I thought that he was very multi-layered, and you really got to see a lot of different types of performances from Blair Underwood in this series, and so I really enjoyed him as well. Now, it was so nice to see Kevin Carroll, who plays Ransom, who was at one time the CFO, the CEO, a very trusted confidant of Madam C.J. Walker, who was very integral in helping her get her empire to where it is. It's so nice to see him. If you guys don't know, he was in The Leftovers, and also too, he was on Snowfall. But I really enjoyed his character as well. I think that they had overall, for the most part, I think they had a very well balanced, very well acted cast. I think everyone had great chemistry with one another, and I think that they meshed very well together. I also want to give a shout out to the costume design. Kendra Patterson, I thought the costumes looked absolutely beautiful. I love the colorful color palettes that they had with the different outfits that the women wore, especially with Madam C.J. Walker. I just wanted to give her a shout out because I just thought that everything looked so very well made, well tailored, well put together, especially during that time period. And also too, because what would a TV series about Madam C.J. Walker, who built this empire on hair care products, on taking care of your hair so your hair can live their best life, where would it be without some good wigs? And so I wanted to give a shout out to Ting Feng Lu, She was in charge of the wig design for Self-Made. The wigs were on point, you guys. I said, okay, hair, y'all better slay right now, because you know black wigs are under attack in television and movies right now. There's a lot of topic of conversation. And so when I see a laid wig, when I see laid hair in movies and TV series, I just want to take the time and give the shout out that it deserves. And I just wanted to give that shout out to her, because I think they did a very fantastic job with everyone's wigs, everyone's hair. I thought it was really great. And then also too, while I was talking about good performances, Bill Bellamy, who plays Sweetness, I really enjoyed his character, and I love that you get to see these kind of like the conflicting sides of, you see those, or there are African Americans during this time in the TV series who are trying to better themselves, who are trying to better everyone else. And so they have these ideas, these dreams that they want to come to fruition, not only so they can help themselves and their family, but to help others. And so I like the contrast that you see in this series between Ransom and Sweetness. Even though Sweetness, even though he might not be on the up and up, kind of a little shady, I love how they both have the same ideals, and they want to succeed for their families, but they have different ways of going about that. And you also see it between Madam C.J. Walker and also to Addie Monroe, who they basically have a hate relationship. I would like to say a love-hate relationship, but no, that's basically like a hate relationship. But I love how they show the contrast between the two, still trying to have the same end result, but still taking two different paths to get there. And so I love how they portray that throughout the course of the series. And also too, I have to say, overall, for Self-Made, it's a very inspiring TV series. I think it's inspiring not only to see a woman, but an African-American woman who had a vision and never took no for an answer, and continued to follow through until she can see her dreams to come to fruition, even though when a lot of people before her could never imagine, could never fathom that a black woman could achieve so much that she was able to do so. And so I do want to give a shout out for keeping just the overall arching theme of just feeling inspired about Madam C.J. Walker's journey, everything that she had to overcome, everything that she set out to do. She pushed and she pushes. She never gave up, and she got to see her dreams come true. And I really love that that's truly the overall theme of the story that you will probably want to get out of it. Now, even though I had a lot of good things to say, you guys, we got a lot of problems with Self-Made. First and foremost, as I said, when we see this battle between kind of good and bad, especially with Sarah Breedlove, Madam C.J. Walker, and Addie Monroe. And so their relationship in this series was a little bit off-putting to me. And because of this, Addie Monroe plays a saleswoman who had this magical hair elixir that helped Sarah basically grow her hair back. She lost her hair. She was very stressed out. She took this hair elixir. She was able to grow her hair back, which inspired her to get into the hair care business. And so in this series, kind of Addie doesn't believe that she fits the part to become a saleswoman, to be able to sell these products, to be able to connect to women, because during this ideal time, the ideal woman was a very fair complexion, light-skinned, white-passing type of black woman. That is the woman that everyone kind of strove to be. And so the storyline deals a lot within colorism in especially the first 2 episodes, very heavily on colorism, and is really a reoccurring theme throughout the course of all 4 episodes of the limited series. But after a while, it became a bit much. And so for me, I found it very off-putting to see these 2 black women going back and forth the entire series, especially because the fair-skinned woman felt like the dark-skinned woman wasn't pretty enough. And I felt that you heard so much of just you don't look the part, Sarah, like you are not the ideal woman that we want to market to. I feel like there's power in words. And when we watch series like this, I feel like we have to be very careful with the messages that we put out into the world, especially when, young people are watching shows like this. And I felt as though that there was a lot of, you can't do this because you don't look right, you're too dark skinned, or things like that. And I felt like when you could talk about colorism, and I think that is something that should be talked about, but I also feel like there has to be balance. When you're showing the negativity, you still have to come back with the positives. And sure, people can say, well, the positive, Sharonda, is that she was able to launch her own successful hair care empire, became a millionaire, yes, but that doesn't mean that those feelings of being insecure, of not feeling loved, of feeling like you're too dark to be pretty, that you have too much much weight on you to be pretty, I think that still doesn't go away. And so I wanted to see a better balance of the negative and also too the positive at the same time. And also too, because the series focuses on kind of the latter years, like into her hair care empire journey, I really wish they would have went back into kind of what happened in the beginning, like how she married to escape a abusive brother-in-law, of how, you know, she was married 3 times, and how it really like she was born to, like, you know, slave sharecroppers. I just felt like I wanted to learn a little bit more about her history and see a little bit more about also too what she was able to do after she became a millionaire. You're talking about a woman who lived down the street from Rockefeller himself, and also too she was a huge philanthropist. Even the government had labeled her as an agitator because she was very outspoken about anti-lynching laws. And so I wish we could have seen more about what she was able to do for the education system. There were so many things that Madam C.J. Walker did outside of just the main things that she was known for, and I do wish that the series would have focused a little bit more on that. Now, I gotta get on Tiffany Haddish. So Tiffany Haddish plays her daughter, Layla, and also to her great-great-granddaughter, Alayla, y'all know what I'm trying to say, Layla Bundles. She's responsible for writing the book that inspired this television series. Now, I just felt like Tiffany Haddish was just playing Tiffany Haddish, but she was supposed to be this person back in like the early 1900s. She didn't have an accent. She talked just like herself, acted just like herself. The only difference was she was in a wig and costume. And there is things that she did with her storyline that I felt would have had a lot more impact if it was an actress who was kind of taking it seriously. And it doesn't mean that I don't like Tiffany Haddish as an actress. I think she's probably was her best in Girls Trip. But as far as her portrayal in Self-Made, I thought she was terribly miscast. That it was like a lack of effort that was put into portraying this character, someone who went on to take over the business after Madam C.J. Walker's death in 1919. And so it was very disheartening to kind of watch this character who was almost like this comical character in a very serious story. And I just felt as though that she didn't necessarily belong in this cast whatsoever. I thought it really took away from the television series. The parts that I had to watch her in, it was just very cringeworthy. Just like, why are you in this? I'm feeling like I'm getting 2 totally different vibes on what this show was actually supposed to be about. And I think overall, because of that, it kind of felt like a lot of things were added for dramatization. And, you know, when you get into, television series or also movies about real figures, it kind of made me feel as though I didn't know what to believe was true and then what was just added for the sake of making this like a soap opera to make it really engaging, just adding the drama to get people to watch. And I think that when you get into this is the first like story about Madam C.J. Walker that's coming to television, I think that we needed to take it a little bit more seriously than what it was. There was like modern day music playing in the midst of like some of the episodes that kind of took me out of the time period that we're supposed to be in. I just felt like it was very messy. The writing was kind of messy. And even though we had this very fantastic performances, I think from what they chose to focus on in Madam C.J. Walker's life from a writing standpoint and how they kind of put the episodes together, I still felt as though even though I enjoyed Self-Made overall, and I still felt as though this was an inspiring story about a Black woman who did so much, who accomplished so much in such a short amount of time, I just felt as though that there was something that was still missing. And it was something that I felt as though for the first time that we get to see the story come onto our screens, I felt that they could have handled it with a little bit more care. But those are pretty much my thoughts on Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker. Remember, like I'm telling you guys, it's still worth the stream. I still just had a lot of issues that kind of makes me uneasy for those who watch movies or watch television as this is all facts. I would definitely tell you guys to do what I did. I went ahead and bought the book On Her Own Ground, which is the book that inspired this television series, just to kind of learn a little bit more about who Madam C.J. Walker really was, and just to kind of decipher like what was like real, what was not, after watching this television series. But those are my thoughts on Self-Made. As always, my name is Sharana from Payroll Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.